about what Vic Ready is, what you can expect from the program this year, and then we're going to walk you through what the session today is going to look like. So Simon is our newest addition to the team. He is one of our career educators and advisors. He's also a bit of a tech wizard, at least compared to me. So I thank you, Simon, for agreeing to manage the slides for us here today. The other thing I'm just going to mention is that we are going to be recording the session today, and we are doing that so that we have a record of the session for our own record keeping, and so that we can potentially share this session with students that were unable to attend the Vic Ready Set Go because of scheduling conflicts. And we know that there are some of those that certainly happen as you're all very busy. So we are your Vic Ready team, 5 individuals, 3 offices, basically a powerhouse of superheroes here to support and serve you for this year and the years to come. The reason I often say we are like superheroes is because we each bring to this program our own set of skills and attributes, and represent 3 offices: the Office of the Registrar and Academic Advising, the Office of Advancement and Alumni Engagement, and the Office of the Dean of Students. So this does demonstrate for you how important Vic Ready is from a university's perspective. It is one of our priority programs to help students prepare for life after Vic, so that when you reach the end of your undergraduate, you have some intention, you have a plan, you have some resources under you so that you feel like you are equipped to take the first steps after graduation. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Bergita to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, it's so good to see you all here today. Welcome to all those of you who are coming back to Vic Ready, and welcome to those of you who are new to the program. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces here and a lot of new faces as well. My name is Bergita, as Heidi mentioned. I work in the Office of the Dean of Students. I'm the Assistant Dean of International and Upper Year Students. I work a lot with international students and upper year students, but also with a lot of first year students and students in any point of their academic journey here at Vic. I work a lot with our campus lab coordinator as well, and specifically I'm really looking forward this year to getting to know you and to working with you throughout Vic Ready as one of the Vic Ready advisors, but also someone you'll see during the Vic Ready modules and the different components that we'll talk about today. So I will leave it at that and pass it over to Henry.
Hello, friends. Happy Friday to all of you. Thank you for joining us. I was going to say, I'm sure you have other things to do on a Friday, but you know what? We're in the middle of the pandemic, and Vic Ready is the best thing you can be doing. So you certainly don't have better things to do, or unequal things to do. I have been and will be for another 3 days, but just 3 days, unfortunately, working in the Office of the Registrar and helping out with Vic Ready, and really sort of, getting the chance to help guide and direct some of the modules, as well as some of the advising components. What I really do want to flag before I hand it over to Simon for a quick intro is just what a pleasure it was to work on Vic Ready last year. And I know that having seen a bunch of familiar faces as little white text on black backgrounds here, we really did build a sense of community, and really Vic Ready and the modules that we had every week were one of the highlights of my week for sure. And I feel confident with this team and with the way we've been talking about designing the program for this year, that we're going to also be able to foster that sense of community and that sense of real friendship and connection in this virtual environment. So it's a really, really great program to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to the rest of today. And with that, I'll hand it over to Simon. Hey, Simon.
Hi everyone, thanks Henry. So my name is Simon. I am a career advisor and educator here at Vic along with Ilham. So my role is to provide one-on-one advising for students in terms of resumes, cover letter, career exploration, job searching, anything related to careers. Also the educator piece is delivering workshops and sessions around career-related topics, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. And it's also great to see some familiar names as well, so awesome. So Ilham.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm not going to repeat what Simon said because we do the same things, but I will only be here for another 3 weeks, so like Henry as well. it's gonna be not a goodbye, but it'll be a see you later. But until I leave around the 3rd week of October, I will be doing some Vic Ready advising appointments with students. So my calendar is open, so please do feel free to book with me after today. And I will also be there for Vic Ready Module 1. Vic Ready Module 1 as well, so you will get to see me there too. So I hope to see many of you guys for the Vic Ready Module 1. And yeah, and I just want to echo as well, Vic Ready is a fantastic program, and we have done a lot of cool things with it this year. So for those who are returning from last year, you will get to see that there are many things that are different. There's more of a sense of community and really building in that engagement, and also having information that we can provide you at the time you need it. And we have an awesome Quartus page up, which you're going to get to see too, which is like so beautifully done, so informative as well. And now I'm going to pass it off to Meghan Junke. Meghan.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ilham. Hi, everybody. I'm Meghan Junke, and I work in Alumni Affairs and Advancement at Vic. I'm looking forward to working with all of you this semester. And my role on the team is that I work with alumni who are interested in volunteering with the program and being mentors to start it. Gosh, it is Friday. I'm losing all my capacity to speak. Anyways, I work with alumni who want to volunteer with the program and mentor students and younger alumni. So yeah, that's sort of it for me, and I'll reappear a little later on today to tell you a little bit more about alumni engagement in Vic Ready. So thanks, and over to you, Heidi.
So that's us. We are your in-house Justice League. Obviously, I'm Batman in this scenario, but we all bring to the table specific skills that you'll get to benefit from as participants in this program. Simon, next slide. So what do you get from Vic Ready? We're just going to do a really quick overview and then get into the meat and potatoes of this session, which happens to be the skills, inventory, and values work to prepare you for your first advising appointment. But in general, from Vic Ready, you're going to engage in skill development modules. You're going to participate in valuable discussions with alumni, with staff, with peers, exploring industry and career pathways. You are going to explore different pathways and figure out and learn about different opportunities for you as a student and as a recent grad. You are going to learn how to tell your story. And this is a really important component of Vic Ready because we all have a narrative of how we got to where we are. If we asked you today to tell us the story of how you ended up at Vic, you could draw a nice thread through your experiences, through your decision making. Maybe it was a conversation with somebody. Maybe it was an upper year student you met at U of T who was a part of Vic, who guided you here. Maybe it was a haphazardous or fortuitous random decision you made in a spur of the moment type of aha situation. But no matter what your story is, you are able to craft what that is. And what we would like to help you do is craft a narrative of your career and your accomplishments and your decisions and all the things that you learned and built to get to a point where you're looking for a job. We are going to have you make connections, great connections, wonderful connections with peers, with classmates, with staff, with alumni. And that is one of the most valuable components of the Vic Ready program. It's the exposure that you'll get to new people. My office is on a timer, and if I sit still too long, the light goes off, so I'll have to speak more in a more animated fashion. Finally, you'll develop a toolkit to help you take your first steps after graduation. That could be a CV and cover letter. That could be a statement of interest and a faculty reference developed through a workshop you attended where we taught you how to reach out to faculty and engage with them in a way that would help faculty feel comfortable giving you a strong letter of recommendation. All the different elements and components you would need to take a step after graduation. And that's what we're talking about in the toolkit. So the first year of the Vic Ready program, for those of you that are joining us for your first year in Vic Ready, you are a VR1 student, not a year one student, not a year two, year three, year four, VR1. You can be first year to fourth year as a VR1 student. What Vic Ready 1 students do is they engage in this session. So you've already completed basically one of the 3 most important things you can do in Vic Ready this session today. Because in this session, we will set a framework for your Vic Ready experience, and we will help you gain a deeper understanding of your skills and your values and your interests and how those play a role in some of the decisions you'll be making over the next few years. You will attend a personal advising session with a Vic Ready staff member, and both Bergita and Henry will be speaking a little bit more about what that looks like. But for the program, we do ask that you attend 2 sessions, one in September or early October, and the second at the beginning of the winter term. The last thing you'll be a part of is the Vic Ready modules, and these are skill development sessions that we offer throughout the year. This fall term, go to the next slide, Simon. We are offering 3 different modules. Each module is an hour and a half in length, and it's offered in 2 parts, so spread over 2 weeks. When you registered for the program, we asked you to identify a cohort that would work for your schedule. Tuesday morning, Wednesday midday, or Thursday at the end of the day. Those are the times, much like a class, where we're hoping you'll view Vic Ready as something that lives in your schedule. We don't offer modules every week, but we do offer them through a series of weeks over the fall term and the winter. The first module is writing your story, and we teach you how to tell a compelling, concise career story and building a personal brand. The second module is communication skills, presence in public speaking, and how to speak about yourself or talk about yourself. Module 3 is critical and creative thinking, and in this session, we go through the fundamentals of critical and creative thinking and early career critical and creative thinking. So once you've completed VR1, you've sort of done the modules, you've had a chance to meet with alumni, you've explored your skills, you get a sense of sort of the landscape in front of you, you might find that by the end of that first year in Vic Ready, you have a slightly clearer sense of something that you're interested in pursuing. That's where Vic Ready 2 comes in. You attend a session like this again, a Vic Ready, Set, Go, and every year we offer a slightly different one, where you again do a little bit of reflection and prepare for your advising appointment. The second part is this advising appointment. Students in Vic Ready 2, you are to reach out to your Vic Ready advisor you worked with last year. So if you were with Ilham or Henry or Bergita, please reach out to them to schedule your next Vic Ready meeting. Your advising appointment, my apologies. At these advising appointments, you'll talk about some of your goals, and what we'll have you do is identify a Vic Ready community you'd like to engage in this year. The communities are broken into 3 different pathways. Career community, which are for students who are thinking they'd like to find employment directly after undergraduate. The education community, this could be students that are interested in graduate school or a college program or a professional school, law, medicine, teaching, etc. And the final pathway is the experiential community. And these are students who are not entirely sure yet what they'd like to do, or they're interested in exploring alternative paths. Maybe that could be going abroad, working internationally, doing something with a not-for-profit, or doing something with sort of an entrepreneurial vibe to it. And that's what this community will be working on. What you do is you meet in these small groups over the course of the year, and you develop skills specific to that area. And so the hope is that at the end of your second year in the Vic Ready program, you have sort of committed to the idea of a path, and you started to build the components required so that when you're ready to take the step, you've got the tools underneath you. The last thing is the Alumni Mentorship Program. And if I'm being honest, this is the element that sort of makes me smile the most, because it's our first year we're offering this component as a part of Vic Ready. It is an optional portion of the program, but it's highly, highly encouraged. And what happens is that you're paired with an alumni mentor and you work with them over the course of 4 to 6 months, starting November, ending at the end of the academic year, in a supported mentorship relationship. And Meghan will speak more to that later in this presentation. The last thing is that you have the option as a VR2 student of attending the VR1 modules. That means if we launch some really new dynamic content and you think, oh, I would have loved to have had a module like that, you can join into that session. Or if there was a module that resonated with you or that was targeted targets an area of weakness and you want the opportunity to practice that skill and develop it further, you can move into that module and engage as well. So where do we start in this program? I know that you're all thinking, wow, this sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to be life ready when I'm done with Vic Ready. And we hope that that's true. But the most important thing for you to remember about the Vic Ready program is that you will get out of this program what you put in. And so one of the most important pieces that you need to learn in this process is the value of reflection. And that means taking a closer look at yourself and assessing things that you want, things that are of interest to you, things that you value, and the skills that you currently possess, and areas you'd like to develop skill in. So at this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to Simon, who's going to lead the first component and the first activities of the session today. You listen.
Thanks, Heidi. So today we're talking about your skills. So you all have skills. They all come from your experiences, and we'll be talking about how you get those skills, identifying those skills, and figuring out what to do with those skills. So some stuff and differentiate what kind of skills are out there, what skills employers are looking for in new graduates. So you may be able to pour tea from a teacup with their mouth, which is impressive, but it might not be something that you want to mention at an interview. And also from your experiences, identifying what skills you have and also what skills you want to develop. So before we talk about skills, we first have to talk about what are skills. So skills are the ability to perform a task or to solve a problem. And this also fits well when we talk about your career story, because often stories are about a problem and then resolving those problems. And to resolve those problems, your skills come into play. So talking about skills, there's two broad categories. So there's your technical or hard skills, and then your transferable or soft skills. So the technical and hard skills are generally easier to teach or easier to assess. They may be specific to an industry. So for instance, if you are a graphic designer, being able to use Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator would be important. If you're in stats, being able to use SPSS or being able to use NVivo, the different types of programming, different types of software. Those transferable soft skills, on the other hand, are a little bit harder to teach and assess because they're generally relevant to a lot of jobs. So we're talking about working with people, so communication, being able to be flexible, being able to manage your time, to problem solve. All those different things are stuff that you need in order to work with people, but it's harder to assess, it's harder to teach. So for instance, when you think about courses here at a U of T, when you think about like if you're in statistics, if you're in research, those are sort of those technical skills that are being taught. So having professors teach you how to do research, how to use SPSS, how to use different computer programming languages, that's those technical skills. But it's hard to find those courses that teach you how to communicate because it's hard to do that. Also teaching you how to manage time. Those kind of things are more sort of applied across all your courses because that's something that we expect you to do in order to sort of, for example, work in groups. So being able to do that across all your courses and not just sort of teaching within one class. So before we go on, I'm just curious, what kind of skills do you think employers want? So I'm just going to share my screen. There you go. So if you go to pollev.com/Vic416, feel free to put down your responses of what do you think skills are what kind of skills do you think employers are looking for in your field? So seeing some great things here. So problem solving, dedicated worker, Excel is very important, especially if you're able to use Excel well, you can be seen as a rock star. Especially for those who don't know how to use Excel, it can come off like magic. So creativity, which is great. SQL, so someone's in computer science, I can tell. Teamwork, language, Excel solver skills, teamwork, creativity. So especially when you're doing a pandemic, being able to be creative is important. So Python, some more computer science students. And dedication, so communication, as you can see, it's a really big one and something we'll talk about after. So for people who said communication, why do you think communication is important for employers? So feel free to put that in the chat or you can unmute yourself and tell us why you think communication is so important and valuable. So Kate here, I think communication is kind of a building block for almost any job. For sure, exactly, because a lot of jobs require you to talk to people. So So whether it's your boss or team members or customers, so whether it's internally within your team or externally to outside customers and clients or patients, communication is key, especially during a pandemic, right? So those communication skills come into play when it comes to not just talking in person, but also talking to people through email, through text, through video, and be able to communicate that way as well. And yep, so really being able to communicate with your ideas. So being able to tell people what your ideas are and to connect with your coworkers for sure. So that way you're sort of able to tell them your experiences, tell them your ideas, and be able to persuade other people about how to do certain things. Social fabric that ties elements in the workplace. Yep, so great. So exactly, communication of underlies is the foundation for everything. It's a very poetic one. By the way, it's a very poetic sentence there. I love it. Time management for sure, exactly. So time management as well. So you can see how these sort of soft skills connect with each other. So being able to communicate also allows you to be able to manage your time better because you can tell what other people are doing and be able to work in a team to be able to figure out what you need to do in order to accomplish a task. So awesome. So thank you so much. So this is a graph from Humans Wanted. It's a report written by RBC in 2018, and it sort of projects what kind of skills are needed by employers. So when they ask employers, what do you think those key skills are that you would want in 2021? And these were the answers that the employers gave. So the darker blue represents the very important or most important skills that the employers would want from graduates, and the lighter blue represents skills that are not as important. So basically the ones on the left, so the skills on the left are deemed more important and the skills on the right are deemed less important. So based on this graph, what do you notice? Yep, so Jade, exactly. So you can see the soft skills on the left side are more wanted by employers. So definitely everyone's seeing those soft skills. Great. So lots of reacting to others. So Laura, definitely. So active listening, speaking, social perceptiveness, those interpersonal skills. So you can see those sort of soft transferable skills we were talking about earlier are on the left side. And those are the skills that employers are really wanting from graduates. And the ones on the right, so repairing, installation, equipment maintenance, they're less important, especially when things change as well. So when you think of Zoom, for example, 5 years ago, no one knew what Zoom was. But now everyone knows what Zoom is, like it's the software. But 5 years from now, that might be different. So knowing those technical skills can change, but those soft skills, those interpersonal skills, those likely will not change for a while because we all need to talk to people. So this is another table. So it's written by a master's student, actually a Vic alumni, who went to IZ. So she did a thesis on looking at employment, and she asked employers in these 5 different industries, so business and finance, natural and applied science, health, education and government, sales and service, and trades and manufacturing. And she asked employers, what are the top 6 skills that you would want, or top 5 skills you would want from students? And these were the top answers that they gave. So these are the top 5 skills that the employers in these different fields wanted. What do you notice in this table? So feel free to put your answers and your observations in the chat. So communication all the way. Yep, so communication, you can see, is almost the top skill across all of the different industries. So definitely we're talking about communication earlier, and again, it's reflected in what employers want. Any other observations? Teamwork is high up as well. Yep, so teamwork shows up in all of them as well. So working with teams, and also probably why you work in groups a lot here at a U of T, because we know that teamwork is so important. So being able to work within a group now will help you in the future. Yep, so critical thinking as well shows up across all of them. And Laura is right that the same skills roughly show up across all the different industries. So even though you have really diverse industries with like business and finance and like trade and manufacturing, even though these are 2 very different industries, those soft skills are still important across all these different kinds of industries, for sure. Cool. Any other last comments before we move on? Okay. So on Crickets, we have a skills and values inventory worksheet. So it's on Crickets under assignments. And it's a list of different skills that we have collated from different websites, from different employers and different organizations. And they've sort of listed these key skills as important in order to do many different kind of jobs. So the different sections, this is one section of that worksheet. So this talks about foundational skills, so reading, writing, numeracy, active listening, and oral communication, and has a little description as well. And it's a great worksheet because if you have troubles identifying different kind of skills, this is a great way to get that language from it. So you can sort of identify what kind of skills are out there and be able to match your experience with those skills. So on the worksheet, there's 5 columns. The first column is your rating your confidence in using the skill. So whether you're very confident, you're confident, some confidence, or low to confidence. The next one's on frequency. So how often do you use those skills? The third one's on your examples that show these skills being in use. The fourth column is on whether or not you want to develop those skills further. So it's just a check mark. So some of them you may want to, some other ones you may feel very confident and see no need to develop them further, and other ones you may not really care about, which is okay as well. And the last one is on corresponding values. So Ilham will talk more about the values piece afterwards. So I want to go back to the third column. So using examples to use, showing examples to use for these skills in action. Where do you think you get these skills from? Like, what experiences do you draw from to gain these kind of skills? So feel free to put your answer in the chat. Where do your skills come from, essentially? Thank you, Ilham. Everyday life, yep, everyday life for sure. Do you want to be a bit more specific? Can participate up. So Laura, participate in classes, or your classwork. So talking in class, engaging in classes, your assignments and your exams, that's all part of where your skills come from. Clubs, work experience, work learning experience for sure, extracurriculars, classwork, volunteering, personal projects and hobbies. So for sure, so all of you are really amazing students, but you're not just students, you are people as well. So knowing that you have different hobbies and different interests, that can also that's where your skills come from as well. Vic Ready, oh, I like that one. You were catering to us. So yes, Vic Ready is also where you will get those skills. So definitely as you go through the program, you'll also learn and develop some really key skills you need for after graduation. Research as well, yep, so research. And then childhood, yeah. So Heidi was saying, so talking about the skills you learn from your family too, because knowing that your skills not just coming from the outside world, but also from your family and also how you were raised. And this can also relate to like which country you're in, which city you're in, the culture that you're in, and those are where skills that come from as well as personal experiences as being a person out there. Awesome. So talked a lot about this. So I think everyone mentioned something on here. So personal project, internships, placements, academics, where your skills are coming from, sports as well. So if you are involved in sports, if you're on a sports team, if you're in a competition, that's where skills come from as well. Paid employment, whether full-time, part-time, co-ops as well. Traveling, co-curricular activities. So we're talking about clubs and engagement, especially with like Vic clubs and Vic levies. Research opportunities, so volunteering, so lots of different things. So what I want to talk about is my own experience. So as I talk about an experience that I have, I want you to start noticing skills that emerge from that story. So if you hear skills from my story, feel free to put them in the chat. Okay. Before we start, this is going to be a tough question. Does anybody know where this is? Might be a little bit hard, but I'm curious. Does anybody know where this is? Nope, not quite. Close, but it's the right continent. Barcelona, no, not Barcelona. Right continent though. Not really. All right. It was a hard one, I will say. The city's not as well known. Berlin, that's the right country though. I like that. Right country. So it's in Cologne. So it's in Germany, Cologne. So this is a picture of the church. So there's a massive church there in Cologne, and this is one of their museums. Before I moved to Toronto, I'm from Vancouver, so I moved to Toronto about 2 years ago. Before I moved to Toronto, I went backpacking across Europe for about 5 months by myself. And during that trip I was in Cologne for Pride weekend. So you see some of the Pride flags in the background. So I was in Cologne by myself without knowing any friends or knowing any families, or no families, no friends in Cologne or anywhere else in Europe for that matter. But I was in Cologne for Pride weekend, and it was a way for me to sort of be able to be a part of a community and to celebrate. But the issue was I didn't know anybody. So I thought at that point when I arrived on a Thursday, and I was thinking to myself, it would be a little strange if I just sort of went through Pride weekend by myself and not really connect with anybody, and it would also feel a little sad. So for me, recognizing that I didn't want to be alone and I want to find some people to be with and for people to celebrate with. So what I started to do was so at that time, I was using like Couchsurfing and Meetup.com to meet up with people. And I decided that weekend that I was try to find some random people that were also in Cologne to celebrate Pride weekend and be able to connect with people through this app. So fortunately, I was able to find some people there. So connected with someone from Italy. We met up. Fortunately, he was fine. He was nice. Wasn't a serial killer. We got along, so it's great. And then from there, we sort of built out our little Pride weekend group. So we tried to recruit more people. We recruited someone when we were watching the Pride parade. We recruited someone who was sitting with us nearby. So we just sort of randomly found someone who seemed to be alone. And we basically asked, hey, do you want to hang out with us for the weekend? And she said yes. We also continued to advertise through Meetup and just to collect more people and to recruit more people. And it was a great experience because we had basically had a bunch of random people from all across the world. So there's some people from Germany, someone from Australia, someone from Syria, myself from Canada, and then this person from Italy, and basically just getting to know each other and also trying to have fun. So it's basically figuring out what we like, trying to find out like why were we here at Pride weekend, and to really just have fun and to communicate and to connect with each other. And there were some conflicts because inevitably it happens, but we're able to go through that, get through that, really found ways to bond with each other even closer through those conflicts and through those ways. Part of it is also figuring out like what we want to do over the weekend. So communication, as Anastasia said, like what do we actually want to do? What events did we want to go to? And figuring out a way that we could all work together and to have fun without being imposing. So figuring out that, like, and during the daytime we would sort of do our own thing, but closer to like late afternoon, evening, we would all hang out and find ways to sort of make decisions. As I was saying, making decisions to decide what to do and whatnot. So it ended up being a lot of fun. It was actually probably one of the funnest weekends of my life. It was a total blast, and being able to enjoy that with a bunch of people was amazing. So cool. So some event planning, yep. So figuring out what to go to. This was I think it was the Dyke March in Cologne. So it was great to go to different events and be able to talk about different things that are going on too. So event plan and negotiation. Yep, negotiation for sure. Project management, persuasion skills. So definitely persuasion skills is important, especially if you really want to go to something, but other people aren't that into it. You want to persuade them to go to an event. Great question by Jay. What was language a barrier for you and your team? So fortunately, everyone there spoke English. So we were fortunate that way, but I will say when I was traveling, language was a barrier because not everyone spoke English when I was traveling. So part of that's communication as well. So how to communicate with somebody using really basic English, but more importantly, using body language or finding people to talk to is really important, and also adapting too. So being able to adapt to the culture, learning some of the different languages. So using really, like knowing the really basic words like yes, no, please, thank you, and whatnot. So exactly, not being threatening to new people. So knowing sort of what body language is appropriate, because in different cultures, different countries, some body languages is just not okay. Whereas in Canada, it is okay. So being able to know those differences. Cool. Duolingo, if you want to learn a new language, it's also very useful for a lot of employers too. All right. So now it is your turn. So we're going to break you into groups of about 3 to 4. And I want each of you to think about an experience that you're really proud of or an experience that you really want to have some help you to identify skills from. So in your groups, talk about these different experiences. And then for the other people listening, they will identify what skills they hear. So similar to what you were doing now, but just in smaller groups. And we'll switch. So switch as you go along, and then hopefully everyone will have the opportunity to tell their story. So what kind of skills did people come up with in the groups? Like, did you see any common? Okay, so sorry, hard work, courage, willingness to take initiative, kindness, interpersonal skills, communication, adaptation is well important. So adaptation also came up in my group as well. So be able to, especially like navigating bureaucracy, be able to adapt to that, and be able to continue to communicate and to show initiative and continue to engage and talk to the people that you need to talk to in order to get something done that's important.
You know, it was really, really great. Every time we've done this, I've had more and more fun, Simon. It's just so nice to get a chance to be in those small groups and hear about some of the diverse and exciting experiences that our students have had. And, you know, I think that in our group, what we were talking about a little bit is how sometimes you, and this was sort of, I'm going to steal this from Heidi, so I'm probably going to butcher the concept here, but Heidi was really sort of talking a little bit about how you sometimes go into an experience as being like, I'm going to develop this skill, or this really showcases one specific skill that is really important to me. And that's a really great story to tell. But sometimes sometimes the really interesting stories are the ones where you have to adapt, or you go into a situation and you didn't realize that you had that sort of reservoir of skills to draw from beforehand. And so you sort of find yourself sort of, you know, in real time, sort of adapting and realizing that, wow, I was able to draw on all these. And you know, Iris was sharing with us an experience that she had volunteering, and it just sounded like she was able to rise to these challenges in such impressive ways, and really sort of, you know, foregrounded some skills that she didn't know she had, and things that have continued to be important to her since then.
Oh, thank you, Henry. And so especially the adaptability is so important, especially moving forward with the pandemic. The next 2 semesters are going to be really weird, but also knowing that this is where your skills come into play, being able to be adaptable. And as you're going through these experiences of in class and your clubs and engaging at Vic and also at U of T, recognizing what skills you're using, because that can help you figure out what skills are really great for this kind of situation, what skills may not be as great for this kind of situation. So knowing that is important, and also appreciating the skills that you do have and the skills you want to develop too. So, yeah. Anybody else has comments on that in terms of skills they were hearing or common skills I came across?
In our group, it was Breakout Room 5. A common skill that kept coming across in the stories we got to hear were leadership and problem solving, and creative problem solving as well. Kind of thinking out of the box a little bit, and also taking the lead in trying to solve a problem so that, you know, you can minimize everyone's frustration, you can be helpful and useful to the group. And also, for one of the stories we heard, it was one of those, like, you needed to solve that problem. It had to happen because it was like backcountry canoeing. A storm is rolling in. It's a Tenagami onto Northern Ontario. Storm is rolling in, and they're lost and they're stuck in swampy water. So how do you get your canoe out? So, yeah, and it's almost sunset as well. So
my sort of land.
Oh, wow. That sounds like an adventure.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see also these skills, not just, again, so we were talking about earlier how skills don't just come from work experience, they also come from your personal interests, your hobbies, your things that you like, your sports, your traveling, all that comes into play, and all those things help you develop your skills. So knowing that in interviews, you could talk about those skills in those contexts as long as you frame it appropriately, so for sure. Awesome. Before we move on, I just want to talk about this quote because I keep forgetting about it. But this is a quote from our alumni here at Vic. So we had an alumni survey over the summer, and this is one of the quotes that came out of it. So, pivot on technical skills learned in schooling. Never be rigid. Things constantly change. So really talking about that piece of how important it is to know your transferable and soft skills, because those are the skills that are more likely to persist with you throughout the years. Because us talking to people and engaging with other people, that's likely not going to change that much. But those technical skills in terms of what software to use, what different programming languages to use, those things can change and will often change in the future. So just knowing that what you learn now in school might change. So be open to that, and also really being grounded in your transferable soft skills. All right, so it's 1:11, so maybe we go ahead, Ilham, we can start with the values part of this session.
All right, thank you, Simon. So shall we flip this? Thank you. So values inventory. So the values portion is coming right after the skills, as we want to emphasize that skills and values often go together. They work in a pair, so they don't work in isolation. And even when we did the breakout room activity, I personally observed that some of what we think about as skills were actually more values, right? And they were coming out as more values. So before I start talking more about what values are and how they're different from skills, etc., I want to hear from you guys. What do you think values are? What are values to you? And how do you think it is different from skills? So maybe we can do it in the chat, or if anybody wants to speak up, please raise your hand. I believe the Zoom chat does have a raise hand function, so we can also say it out loud raise hand function or also in the chat. So values are principles that you live by. Very good. Yes. Absolutely agree, Kate. So it's like your moral code, the thing that you need in order to go through your day-to-day life, right? Like a code of conduct, a moral code of some kind. Anybody else wants to contribute as to what are values and how they're different from skills? Destiny, very good. Values can be shaped by your experiences and social context. Yes. Values are what you prioritize. Thank you, Adele. Sarah says, to me, values are the ideas that are important to me to help prioritize my goals. Absolutely, right? And goals are things you can reach by having skills, right? By using certain skills to reach this goal. I want to have a goal of becoming an expert in Microsoft Excel. That could be like a little goal I have. Well, the skill I'm going to need is knowing how to use Microsoft Excel. And the values are constant learning, lifelong learning, right? That pushes me to be able to reach my goal. Daniel added, values are things we live by because they appear to make sense or are instinctual to you. You're not talking MBTI language there. And skills are what you can do. Absolutely, I agree. So values are things that you live by that are innate to you, that come to you naturally. You don't necessarily even have to think about it, right? Yeah, some really, really good explanations there. So can we switch the slide over to the next slide, please? Thank you, Simon. So this is a bit of a values word cloud, and we'll start to kind of get you thinking about what values are, right? And see if you see any of your own values within this word cloud as well. So everybody, yes, you are correct in what you said. That values are basic principles and code of conduct or guiding principles you live by. Values are instinctual to you. They are innate to you. They live in your conscience or your subconscious. So you don't have to think about it, but in the way you do things in your day-to-day life, what you say, by what you do, what skills you pursue, what goals you pursue, they will show your values to other people. And values can help you prioritize what you want to do with your life, where you want to spend your time and effort on, where you want to use your voice, what do you want to use energy on, who you want to make friends with, who are the people you want to have in your life, right? Values can help you prioritize that. And then values can be shaped by experience and social context. Absolutely. And it also kind of makes you think about like soaking in values by like osmosis, right? So as you're going through your life and through experiences, you are picking up new values. So values are never static, right? So Destiny's point kind of emphasizes that values are never static. You can always learn and enhance new values. You will always soak in new values as you get older, as you go through life, as you have a better understanding of yourself, as you gain more life experience or travel experiences or experiences where you have to face a particular challenge and you have to overcome that challenge, right? So they are faced by experiences and also social context. Yes. You know what? This is the first Vic Ready Set Go session that actually mentioned social context. Your social economic context or psychosocial context, because those intersect. So you're actually kind of now talking about intersectionality there, right? What do you identify yourself as? Your ethnic identity, religious identity, your socioeconomic identity, your gender identity, your sexuality identity, et cetera, et cetera. So those contexts that you live in can also help you to pick up values or learn new values, right? And that drives your skills as well. So we have talked about the first bit as well, and the importance of knowing your values. I have kept touching upon that. So now why don't we look at joining your values and your skills? Thank you, Simon. Yeah, and it also motivates us to undertake new things. And it is always there when you're socializing or meeting new people. So even when you're within the Vic Ready program, part of the fun about the Vic Ready program is that it will help to really bring to the fore your skills and values, right? So maybe you already know it, but you might not have thought about it in a conscious way. Or you did something like a long time ago, skills and values and mentor, you did it, whatever, right? But throughout your time at Vic Ready, we are going to be touching back on values and your skills again and again and again. So that by the time, hopefully, when we are done with this program, when you graduate from here, you have a very good understanding of who you are as a person, your core identity, your guiding principles. You can kind of think in the you can kind of think in your conscious mind what you value, what your values are, and hopefully those are guiding principles that can help you further in your career journey, in your education journey, in your life after Vic. So that's why we will be touching upon that again and again. One of the ways values are going to play out, and I can kind of give you a very easy example here, is when you go for an interview, right? When you go for an interview, the interviewers or the / employers, they're not only trying to see whether you have the skill A and B, A, B, C, D, E to do the job, but they also want to see what your values are, what they call the culture fit, right? They want to see what your values are, and those values can often come out in how you answer the questions, in what questions you answer, right? In how you choose to answer those questions, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself at the interview process, right? Those values come out. And again, you may not realize that you are exhibiting those values consciously, right? But the interviewers themselves may not even sometimes realize that they are looking to pick up certain values from you, right? That will help them make the decision whether they should hire you or not, right? But they are doing that. It's a process that's happening, okay? But now you know. So next time you walk into an interview, really do like not only practice the interview questions and know about the employer and etc., but also identify what your skills and values are and how it matches the job, how it matches the company, and how you can talk about that. Okay. So yeah, thank you. So again, we've kind of touched upon it already a little bit, but I'm going to go through the slide in detail. Values are very helpful for professional and education exploration. So for example, seeking a financially lucrative career is something you value. There's nothing wrong with saying that, you want financial stability. You want to work at a job that will, help you with the good things in life a little bit, right? That will help you if you're living in a very expensive city like Toronto, right? There is a certain yearly income that you're gonna want to have to be able to, not only meet your basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing, but also to have some life enhancing activities as well. Also to do skills development, skills building, right? Also to do things that you value, like going out with your friends, meaning socializing and building a community, for example, okay? Education exploration, exactly. So some of the values from education exploration can come from lifelong learning, intellectualism, being literate, being educated, right? Even an adventure as well. If you decide, you know what, you want to go to Australia for your master's program, right? So Canada and Australia, they're quite a bit of a distance, but maybe a sense of adventure. You want to try a new continent entirely. Personal satisfaction as well, right? We will, that's part of the beauty of getting older, and also part of the tricky part as well, that you are going to come across many situations that can be a crisis, a personal crisis, right? So what do you value? Do you value peace and predictability and stability in your life and seeking enjoyment in your life? Or you haven't exactly identified those values yet, and you might be wondering, why do I get stuck with such a big interpersonal problems?
So here we have the values inventory worksheet. I took a little screenshot of the values inventory sheet, the first part of it. What the values inventory sheet here does is essentially gives you ideas and words that you can use to describe your values. So if this list is not exhaustive, and I have tried to add as many values as I can from the letters A to Z, but please feel free to add your own values to it as well. However, this list is there to generate some ideas, to get you thinking, and to help you in filling out your skills and values worksheet that Simon showed you a couple of slides ago. And you will also notice that your values, the words that are here, some of them are similar to each other in the sense that they have synonyms. They are similar in meaning to each other. So please feel free to use the word that you most identify with or that most jumps out at you. And now Again, this reiterates that your personal values can lead you to be more self-aware, which can help you make professional and personal choices, such as your course selections, picking which co-curricular activities you want to focus your time on, because we know that we are very busy people, so you can't do everything you'd like to do. With jobs you decide to apply for, whether it's a summer internship in your career field, whether it's a student job, and what further education or career exploration research you want to do. So your values can actually help drive those decisions, and that's why it is very important to know your values. So just rounding out what I've talked about so far. So this is connecting your values and skills. You're going to need to connect the values and skills when you're using the skills and values worksheet that you have seen already in this presentation. And so you want to identify your strongest skills first and describe why it is the strongest. You have the space to do that. Then in the second column, you want to identify the skills that you want to improve upon and why. And then you will notice for each of those two charts in the skills and values worksheet, the very right-hand side column has you indicate which are the corresponding values based on the skills that you're the strongest in and why, and also the skills that you want to improve upon and why, and then what are the values that could potentially correspond with those skills. That's why we have the values worksheet that can help you to gather some words and ideas that you can then put down when you complete the skills and values. Once you have filled it out, just try to see if you notice some patterns. Do you see a match between the skills that you're strongest in and the values that you hold most dear? Do you see some discrepancies between the values that you hold most dear to you, but then the skills are not exactly there? Those skills are the ones you want to improve upon. Do you see any differences? So really do try to notice that. And the reason we highly recommend that you do the skills and values worksheet for Vic Ready is because throughout your time at Vic Ready, we're going to be talking a lot about exploration, career exploration, education exploration, self-discovery, self-exploration as well. And your very first module does start off with writing your career story and your career narrative, where you're really going to have to talk about your skills and values and weave that into your career narrative. That's why we are doing this exercise of the skills and values worksheet right at the beginning, so that you're already in that mindset of thinking about the skills you're strongest in and what values correspond with that, and the skills that you want to improve upon and how Vic Ready can help you improve upon it and why you want to improve upon it, and then the values that correspond with that.
So let's talk a little bit about Vic alumni and their role in Vic Ready for just a moment. The Vic Alumni Network is comprised of over 45,000 people. Our alumni are located in most parts of the world, and a strong contingent are based in Toronto and the GTA. One of the many amazing things about Vic alumni is that they're always ready to volunteer their time to help students make the most of their time at Victoria College and beyond. I can honestly say that I've witnessed our Vic grads' willingness to give back time and time again. I know that you might find it hard to imagine yourself as a Vic grad while you're in the middle of your undergraduate career, but someday you will join this supportive network, and trust me, this will be an advantage to you. Help and guidance will be there when and if you need it along life's path. Think of it as joining a big family who are always there to support you when you need advice or a helping hand. With respect to the Vic Ready program, participating alumni have signed on to offer their expertise and to engage with you in two important and integral ways. So the first is alumni present during Vic Ready sessions. During our weekly sessions, we invite alumni to join us to speak about a topic or a theme that they are most passionate about. As you know, Every Vic Ready session is different. During our sessions, alumni will offer advice on interview and networking skills, provide their insights into specific industries and jobs, coach you on identifying your many strengths, and help you develop the hard and soft skills that you need and that will benefit you in diverse workplaces. Alumni also share personal experiences such as feeling anxious about graduation, feeling uncertain and perhaps doubtful about the future, managing student debt after university, times when they may have faced discrimination, and how they managed external pressure from friends and family about one's future. Some of their stories are also just about facing a change and a detour on life's path. I know that when I've had moments in my life when I have felt utterly alone and lost, it has always helped to hear from someone who has been in my shoes. So I hope that through meeting alumni and hearing their experiences during our sessions, you feel represented and you learn from their stories. Remember, while they might be a bit ahead of you in years, they have trodden your path, and that shared experience is so important. The second way alumni are involved with Vic Ready is through our mentorship program, which will be open to Vic Ready Year 2 students this year. More detailed information about this program will be presented to Year 2 students in October. However, I want to take this opportunity to plant a seed. This mentorship program is not mandatory, but we encourage you to consider taking part, as a mentorship relationship will form a nice complement to what you learn and discover in your career, education, and/or exploration communities. Year 2 students will be matched to a Vic alumni mentor in a field, industry, or profession that they hope to pursue. Now, if you are unsure about what academic or career path you want to travel down, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. You can be matched to an alumni mentor to talk through life's big questions and have conversations about possible pathways, your skills, your values, and how to go about turning all of these things into a meaningful academic and career journey. In either case, your mentor will be supportive and a compassionate sounding board to talk with. Mentors and mentees will meet through a phone call or video call 4 times over the course of the academic year. The mentee will take the leadership and ownership over coordinating those meetings, and will also put forward a short agenda that will outline what they would like to discuss with their mentor during each meeting. Your mentor can help you with your application package, which is your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile. Your mentor can host a mock interview, help you set personal goals and create a step-by-step plan to achieve those goals, and they can answer all of your questions about the work world and the transition from being a student to an early career professional. If you aren't sure about what to discuss in your meetings with your mentor, we will help you, and we will provide you with tools and resources so that you feel prepared and you get the most out of this experience. More information on Vic's mentoring program will be available in October, but if you have any pressing questions, please send me an email and we can arrange a time to talk. I'm going to leave you now with a few final thoughts before I turn this back over to Heidi and the rest of the team. My final thoughts are: try to attend as many sessions as you can this semester. Start making meaningful connections with your peers and with Vic Ready participating alumni now. You will find that your Vic Ready friendships and network become a most valuable resource. Don't be afraid to ask questions of alumni whom you meet through Vic Ready. I often hear, I wish students had asked me more questions, so please don't hesitate to hold back. If you have questions for an alum after a session, or should you wish to continue the conversation with an alum in an informational interview setting, reach out to them. If you are unsure about how to connect with and contact an alum, you can ask me. It's hard to know how to go about doing this, and I know it can sometimes seem daunting. It's normal to feel this way, so just ask me. I'm just a phone call, a Zoom call, or a Microsoft Teams call away. Or you can ask Heidi, Bergita, Ilham, and Simon to coach you on this. We are all here to support your learning journey and development, so just ask. My email address is megan.junk@utoronto.ca. So I hope we can connect at some point throughout the course of this semester and this year. Thank you so much for being so attentive. I look forward to getting to know each of you better this semester and again, hopefully throughout the year. Thanks.